if you don't go for it, what are you going to do? What else are you going to do? What else is there? You've got one option, and you've got one option. Basically, you have to go for it, because if you don't, what is there? There isn't anything. There is not anything. If you don't go for it, you're going to have regret. And more regret. So you have to go for it. That's why you're here, basically. You're here because you were born to go for it. Let me move this camera. It seems a bit cliche and a bit cheesy to say that, but we don't. Most of the time we don't go for it. And half the time it's nothing to do with fear. It's to do with being complacent, comfortable. The biggest thing is leaving your comfort zone. If you can do that, like even little steps, it doesn't need to be quantum leaps, just little steps. So it might be you want to ask her out for a date, but you don't know how to start. Start off by asking her how her day went. Or if you want that new promotion, but you don't know where to start, get your boss a coffee. Or if you want to get better abs, you don't need to go to the gym every night. Just take a walk around the block. Everything's steps. And the little steps add up to the big steps. That's the thing that I've learned this year. If you set like huge, big, massive goals that seem out of reach, you're less likely to take that first step. So what you need to do is you need to break it down into chunks, bite-sized chunks, and realise that a small step is still progress forward. It's better than no step. Right now I'm manifesting. I'm manifesting a house. Because I would like a house that's in the countryside with its own land, with its own kind of outdoor space. But I know that I don't do that in one go. So what I'm doing is I'm thinking about what the decoration would be like inside, what kind of accessories I would have, how I would design certain rooms. I don't go out and just manifest the house. It's bite-sized chunks. And I think that's what puts us off. We think we need to kind of dive in the deep end and do it in one go. And when we don't see the results, that's when we don't stick at it. Because we're trying to make too much of a leap, too much of a jump. So if you've got a goal, learn to kind of break it into segments where you can do it step by step. And just, it's the same as if you go home every night and sit on the couch. That's one way to live. But then if you go home every night and you take a walk, that's another way. The walk might seem tiny, might seem minuscule, but it's a lot better than sitting on the couch every night. That's the same for the bigger things. The bigger things are no different to the smaller things. That's one of the lessons I've learned recently. Big goals are no different to small goals. And the reason they're the same is because you still have to break them into chunks that are manageable. Like if you just go out today and say you're going to skydive and you're going to do it tomorrow, the only thing you're going to have is a disappointment, unless you're an expert skydive that does that every day. But if not, then you'll just be disappointed because it's unrealistic. So I would say the key is to look at the goal and break it down, but as well as the action that you're taking towards the goal, the internal thought processes are just as big, just as important, and just as necessary, because if you're creating a goal but your inner dialogue is not in sync, then the goal won't manifest. Your thoughts have to go side by side with your action. It has to link up and connect and sync. That's why you get people that manifest really quick in comparison to other people, because they've synced up their thoughts to their actions so that everything's in harmony. And if you can do that, that's like a quick fast track to manifesting. It's like a quantum leap. And there is people that do that because they're doing a lot of meditation, they're doing a lot of robotic affirmations, which are my favourite at the minute. I'm quite new to affirmations. And my eureka moment was when I realised that everything that comes from repetition. Like learning your name as a child, you done that because it was repeated to you by your mum or dad. Learning your times tables, the alphabet at school, you done that because it was repeated to you. And when you look at it, everything's manifesting. Everything's repetition, sorry. Because like learning a new skill, a language, going to the gym, getting abs, you have to do that process repeatedly. And that's life in every sense of the word. If you want something, you need to intentionally repeat the thoughts that you would have if you had it. I think my favourite manifesting story was Jim Carrey. He was unemployed. He was living on his mate's couch, but he went up to the LA Boulevard every other night and just drove around in his car, imagining that he was living an entirely different life, a rich life. And then he made Dumb and Dumber. This was a couple of years later, but he said he repeatedly played that over in his brain, over and over, the other life that he wanted to live, and then it just happened. And it's because he had intention and he was thinking on purpose, and it's the same for everything. And it's why most people don't manifest, because they're not checking in on their thoughts, they're not keeping tabs on their thoughts, they're just letting their brain run on automatic pilot, which is why the larger percentage of the world lives average lives, and it's why it's only a small percentage that live extraordinary lives, because they're thinking with intention, deliberately focused thoughts on a daily basis, on a moment to moment basis, because they know and they understand that the secret is the thoughts that you're thinking. They're basically writing your life. So why wouldn't you want to look at them? Why wouldn't you want to pay more attention? Why wouldn't you want to keep tabs on them? You need to kind of realise that you're responsible for thinking, and because you're responsible for thinking, that's going to manifest into your life, which you could call your reality. So there is really just two options. You can let your brain just run and do whatever on automatic pilot, or you can say, I'm the driver, I'm going to take responsibility for what I'm thinking, and then you can choose to think deliberately.